Welcome to our final devotional this week. We are in 2 Samuel 6, a pretty interesting passage with a lot of odd things going on. And so it begins with David gathering troops of Israel and going to Judah to bring back the Ark of God. And so they bring the Ark with all kinds of instruments, and celebration, singing songs and dancing. But they arrived at some uneven ground, and an oxen stumbled, and a man reached out his hand to steady the ark of God, and the Lord had his anger aroused against him and struck him dead for touching the ark of the covenant. And so the man died right there. David was angry because of this and named the place one who strikes out against Uzzah. And it is still called that. And so David's now afraid of the Lord and asks how he could even bring the ark back into his own care. And so instead of bringing it to the city of David, he takes it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. And that's where it remains, and that household is blessed. And so after David sees that everything in this household is being blessed, he goes and brings the ark back to the city of David. He sacrifices, he dances, he's wearing a linen ephod, and all of Israel is joyful and shouting and blowing of ram's horns. While this is happening, David's wife, the daughter of Saul, sees him out the window and is filled with contempt for him. So much so that when David is done blessing the people and giving out gifts and comes back to his own family, she rebukes him in disgust for how shamelessly he was showing off himself. How poorly he was standing with indignity. And David seems to be harsh to her. That he was dancing for the Lord who chose me above your father and all his family. That he is the appointed one. And so he is allowed to celebrate. That he's willing to look even more foolish than this, to be even humiliated in his own opinion. And this seems to honestly be a turning point for that relationship. That she does not hold David in high regard, but sees him as improper, and that he sees her as unworthy. And so in this one chapter, we see the heights of the presence of God moving back toward the middle of his people to be one with them. But we also see the strength of God being laid out. We see the passion and romance of David towards his God in front of all of his people. And we also see how there are people who still demand a dignified king and not just a servant king. And so in this muck and mire of juxtaposed faith and ritual, we can focus on the harshness of God, and we can focus on the harshness of David. We can focus upon the people's joy, and we can focus on his wife's contempt. And I think I'll leave that up to the Spirit with you, with where you stand this morning, with where our hearts are. Because indeed, we can have contempt for those who are really just trying to live life for God, even if they're not living it well in our eyes. And we can celebrate as we bring the kingdom nearer and nearer. And we can mourn as we fail and as we struggle and as we suffer consequence and discipline. And we can be so excited for what's coming next. And as a church, we can be doing all of these things at once. And so, Lord, I just pray for your heart and your family, your household, your faith, wherever it is right now. I pray that we could come together in unity and honesty with each other. I pray that we wouldn't allow contempt or abandon to hurt our relationships. I pray that we would not forget to mourn, but we would not forget to celebrate. I pray that we can welcome in the Lord together as a family. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today would you know his peace.